Hey everybody, it's Tasha here, and to get on here to tell y'all something. I had just left. I just left my therapy session, and therapy to me is like a tune-up. I do a lot of self work within myself. I read a lot of books. I've done a lot of healing, and I've done a lot of work to get to the place I am now in life. So therapy to me at this point in my life is not a place where I really have to do too much there. It's like, I make sure that I'm still a good person. I make sure that the core of me is good and that all things lead back to God. Which is why I got a Christian therapist. That's like the number one reason I got a therapist. But also too, to just like vent and talk about everyday things, because most of our problems, we talk to God, or you're supposed to talk to God about most of your problems, but a lot of inside things shouldn't be talked about with a lot of people. A lot of your problems should go directly to God. If he's not answering them, if he's not answering things for me right away, therapy is that. Nonetheless, I just wanted to get on here. I don't know who this message is for, but do not dim your light. Do not dim your light to fit into expectations of other people. I've realized throughout my life, and obviously it's some type of trauma response per usual, but is that I would shrink myself going into certain rooms or being in certain places based off of the people I was with or based off of the room I was in. So 9 out of 10, I'm carrying myself like that girl. I'm carrying myself like that girl because I am that girl, and not in a cocky mannerism, but I know who I am. I know what I possess, and I know what I bring. And because of that, I know that because I have a father who is my all in all, that I am that girl, like that's where I get my substance and confidence from, is him. But because I know that, but to make other people feel comfortable, I show up as something a little less than that girl to make other people feel comfortable. And baby, after leaving my session today, it's not happening no more. Like, I put an expiration date on shrinking and dimming my lights to fit in certain rooms and to fit into friendships and to fit into places that if I cannot be who I am called to be all the time, if I can't be that girl all the time, then I shouldn't be in that room. Let's stop gravitating to what our outside circumstances look like by making ourselves be something we're not for people. Like, let's stop gravitating to our outside situations and changing our demeanor, changing who we are, changing what God called us to be, and changing that so that people feel bigger, so people feel better, so people feel more inclined around you. Like, let me tell you something. This is what God revealed to me before I got on here. If you are minimizing and shrinking who God is calling you to be all the time, if you're shrinking being that girl, if you're shrinking being that guy when God is putting you into these rooms, how can you do what you're supposed to do in these rooms? How can you change lives? How can you change perspectives? How can you change opinions if you're shrinking to be something else when you are called to these places? And you're thinking you're doing the right thing by making these people feel comfortable around you because they're intimidated when you walk in big and bold and strong and glorified in the Lord. They're intimidated by that. So you're thinking like, I need to go shrink and be within to make this person feel comfortable. Or, I'm going out with such and such, and she don't like when I talk about God like that. So we're not going to talk about God, but we're talking about everything else, but we're not going to talk about God because she's not all the way there with her spiritual journey. How can God transform the lives he wants to transform and use us to do that if we are showing up as somebody else when we are called to these places? Let me tell you, there will never be another room I enter when I'm not that girl. There will never be another space that I enter when I'm not that girl. There will never be another relationship, a family-ship. There will never be a friendship that I will enter not being that girl. I will no longer shrink to the expectations of other people. I will no longer make myself little to make yourself feel big. I will no longer be making you feel comfortable by making myself feel uncomfortable. God is calling me to do big things. He is calling all of his people to do big things. And if we're showing up as somebody else in these seasons, in these places, in these rooms, God can't do what he needs to do. Your boldness, if your goodness, if your godliness, if your aura is irritating somebody else, it is, you possess something in you that they do not have. So if they are aggravated and irritated by that, let God do the work. Let God do the speaking through you. Okay? Because the other thing is just like, the more we gravitate being somebody that we are not, if I continue to gravitate to lowering who I am because, I want to wear heels and you want to wear sneakers. Like, if I want to go out to lunch and I want to wear my hair up and you are, you're in a more like whatever the case may be, if I continue to doctorate who I am and what I am called to do to make you can feel comfortable, then you might not be my person. And if who I am shining out to you is not inspiring, if it's not good, if it's not bringing you closer to God, if it's not a healthy exchange, maybe we're not supposed to be around each other. And that is just the truth of the matter, is if I am not doing something by showing up as my authentic self in this unauthentic relationship or this unauthentic friendship or in this unauthentic situation, if I am not doing something within myself, if I am not doing something to make you want to be better, to make you want to do something different, to make you step outside of your comfortability level, to make you feel like you're that girl too, or you're that guy, like, our exchange needs to come to an end. Our bond, whatever is keeping us here, needs to come to an end, because a healthy relationship, a healthy friendship, a healthy situationship, whatever the case may be, a healthy family dynamic, this comes from being able to understand, like, even if you're not that girl, you're still that girl. Even if you're not that guy, you're still that guy. So carry yourself as such. Like, carry yourself as this person all the time. Like, we are not these outside vessels. We are not these things, these materialistic things that even if you have them, yes, you're blessed to have them, but you're not those things. You know what I'm saying? And the more we get accustomed to these outside shells of things, and we get accustomed to how other people feel, like, I am so in tune with the Holy Spirit that the Holy Spirit, when I come into contact with people, or I could be meeting people for the first time, I can literally see things on them. I can see the spirits that are operating in them. And because I can see that, instead of me being like, I rebuke this from being in my space, I rebuke this off of that person, I rebuke that X, Y, and Z off of this situation or out of my space, I used to be like, dang, I feel bad for that person. Like, let me not make them feel bad about themselves. Let me not make them feel bad about themselves because who I am, because I don't resonate with that. I'm not shameful of myself. I'm not insecure. I'm not this. And it makes me feel like, okay, well, I don't want that person to feel bad about themselves, so I'm going to shrink too. I'm going to shrink because you're not confident in yourself. I'm going to shrink because me being around you sparks up your insecurities. And now you're hiding from me. You're intimidated by me. You don't really want to speak up around me. Or, you see the blessings that's upon my life, and now I'm seeing you again, and instead of coming up to me like you normally do, giving me a hug and giving me confirmation, you're like, oh, I'm just going to act like I don't see her. I'm not moved by that. I am not moved by that. When these situations used to occur, I used to feel bad. Like, dang, maybe I just showed up too big. Because I am. Maybe, me taking care of myself and me, carrying myself in a certain type of way. Listen, me carrying myself a certain type of way made you feel little about yourself. And what's all going back to me now is that, that's a you thing. That's a you thing. I've never been that type of person. I have never been that type of person that has ever made me feel insecure about somebody else existing or somebody else being. Never. When I see that girl walk into that room, I'm like, look at her. God's grace on her, shining through. She knows who she is. She's walking in her authentic self. She's walking in her purpose. I see you. And I'm gravitated towards it. I'm like, what is it about her? Like, I love that for her. Like, I need to get like that. I need to be like that. Oh, her body is T. Like, I need to be in the gym so mine could be T like hers. Like, I am never intimidated. I don't have an intimidated, jealous bone in my body. And so I get on here to share this message with you, because if you are intimidated, if you are insecure, if you lack self-confidence in yourself, to the point somebody else of higher standing, and they don't even have to be of higher standing, they could look, you just might think they look better than you. You might think they got more designer things than you, because everything is so fleshly now. Like, you know, they might drive a nicer car than you, you know, she might get her hair done every week, whatever the case may be, whatever it is. If these things are sparking your interest, your head and your heart is not in the right space. You think you're that girl until you walk, somebody else with a bigger Chanel bag walks in bigger, got the more expensive Chanel bag than you. You got a Chanel bag too, it's little, but she got the big one. So now here you is bent up in the corner of her body. The minute our insides and our hearts and our flesh become away from God, we categorize ourselves with insecurity. We categorize ourselves with being unconfident. And I say this because, and there's been very little times in my life where I've lacked confidence. It is very minimal times, like when I've had my children and my body isn't the way it is and all of these things. I understand how easy it is to be wrapped around these outside vessels, to be wrapped around these outside materialistic things. But the minute I gave myself completely over to God, he ripped that stuff away from me. Not in the physical being, but he let me know where I stood at without these things. And he gave me something. He gave me a confidence that was in with him. So all of these things can be ripped from me. Will it be painful? Yes. Will it hurt? Yes. But I still have things in me that nobody can take from me. And that's God. That's God and the discernment and the wisdom he's given me. So my statement to you is, on this beautiful Monday day, that if you are making yourself little to fit into other people's categories or expectations of yourself, or just to make them feel good about themselves, you are not doing what God is calling you to do. And that is shine. And that is big. To be big. To be that girl. To be that guy. These rooms, you're not supposed to change. Holy Spirit, thank you. You're not supposed to change because you're walking into the room. The room is supposed to change when you walk into it. I'm going to say that again. You're not supposed to change who you are when you walk into these rooms. These rooms change when you walk into it. You are that. You are that girl. You are that guy. You have a Father who is the Most High, who is watching you, who is guiding your every step, who is guiding all your expectations, who is guiding all these things for you and lining them up, letting you walk in your purpose, calling you out on certain things, holding you accountable. That is a blessing. That is where you get your confidence from. When you stop looking at outside people to give you that reassurance, when you stop trying to go within yourself to find that reassurance, when you take your insecurities and your confidence level and your outer sides that you want to be, all the things that you want more of yourself, when you take these things to God, he has a way of transforming them. He has a way of making them be exactly what it is that you need to be. Maybe you're not really insecure. Maybe you don't lack self-confidence. Maybe you're just looking at yourself in the wrong light. Maybe you're not seeing yourself the way God sees you. Maybe when you look in the mirror, you are filled with shame and embarrassment because you feel like you're not forgiving. You're not forgiving of your sin. You're not forgiving of your of all of the bad things that you've done. And I come today to tell you, God has forgiven you. You are set free. You don't have to judge. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to be insecure. You don't have to feel little. You don't have to feel anything outside of being that girl or that guy. Because when I tell you, the confidence that God will put down on the inside of you when you give all of these things over to him, as superficial, as unimportant as they are, once you give these things over to him, God will transform your heart. He will transform your heart. I had to get on here to share that with y'all. Like, it was heavy on me. It was heavy on me. It was heavy on me. And as I reflected on this in therapy, I was like, I wonder how many more people do this to make other people feel good. Like, I wonder how many other people haven't really showed up as themselves to their family or to their friends or in relationship. Like, I wonder how many other people have been living their lives to make other people feel good, when really the only person we should be making feel good every single day is God. Trying to please his way, trying to make him feel good, trying to make him feel proud. When we try to make other people feel this way, we are stepping into territory that is not ours to step into. We are not God. We cannot make people feel a certain type of way towards us. We cannot make people think a different way towards us. We cannot make people see us the way God sees us, because these people are not God. And imagine trying to do everything you can to please these people and trying to fit into every category, every box, so you don't irritate their insecurities. And they still don't see you for who you are or what you are. Imagine that. Imagine shrinking every time you went to lunch or dinner with them. Imagine lowering yourself to fit their expectations, and they still don't see you the way they're supposed to see you. Imagine that. That's why this is why we shouldn't do things like this. This is why our confidence, who we are, has to be left in God. We should not be changing according to people or according to different rooms and places and stuff that we enter. Be that person all the time. Be who God is calling you to be all the time. So I don't know who this word was for, but baby, I am set free and delivered, okay? And if you was aggravated with me before, you about to be real aggravated with me now, because it's a new Tashay coming into this thing. And baby, she not playing small. She not playing little. Okay? I'm playing big. All the time, all day, in every room, in every space that God calls me to be, I will show up as that girl. And I hope y'all do the same. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.